Ever get that gnawing feeling deep down that something seismic is twisting beneath the surface? Something raw, unpredictable, and impossible to ignore. Like the city holds its breath, caught between hope and dread as whispers start swirling where once was silence. You can almost taste the tension in the air, thick as the Detroit summer humidity, because the Lions are no strangers to battles that bleed raw nerve endings. Now, light up the comments if you're feeling that pulse, that sting of wild possibility, clashing with the gut-wrenching weight of consequence, because Detroit just might be staring down the razor's edge of a move that shakes everything to the core. Behind closed doors, where the clatter of helmets fades and the chessboard of management plays out in hushed voices, there's talk. No, more than talk. A bold, audacious proposal that spins the carousel faster than any all-season rumor in recent memory. Insiders are whispering about a trade so wild, so loaded with risk and promise intertwined, it feels like the city itself might shatter or soar on a knife edge. Imagine wrestling with destiny, wrestling with the idea of trading away one of your brightest, most electrifying weapons, a wide receiver who racked up over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns last season, whose name echoes in the rafters with both pride and looming price tags, for an edge rusher who might just be the defense's missing linchpin, a freak of nature who could crank the heat up on opposing quarterbacks with a thunderous impact. This isn't fantasy. It's the real gritty calculus Detroit is facing. Picture T.J. Watt, legendary for tearing through offenses like a storm, possibly suiting up in Honolulu blue and silver, joining forces with Aiden Hutchinson to forge one of the league's most feared pass rush duos. It's a defensive double punch that Detroit hasn't seen in decades. A seismic shift that could tip the scales from playoff hopefuls to legitimate contenders. But there's a sting beneath the surface, because to bring Watt here, the Lions would have to part ways with Jameson Williams, that dazzling wideout who, while brilliant, carries a looming financial shadow that strains the fragile salary cap balance, already squeezed tight by big contracts to stars like Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the impending deal for Hutchinson himself. This is Detroit poker, risking a proven offensive dynamo to solve 2 massive headaches in one bold sweep, avoiding an impending contract nightmare while boosting a defense hungry for that extra lightning strike. It's a dance on the razors. Edge, do you gamble on the fearsome might Watt brings and free up space for payroll flexibility? Or do you hold on to your offensive fireworks and hope the defense finds answers elsewhere? Remember, this team knows heartbreak on a cellular level, has clawed through decades of disappointment since '91, borne the weight of losing seasons etched into the city's scars, and survived the grind of rebuilding from the shadows of the Caldwell era. Detroit knows pain, knows patience, knows the hunger to rise again with fire in its eyes. But what if this is more than just another gamble? What if the front office is standing at the crossroads of history and destiny, and this move becomes the spark that ignites a Lions season no one saw coming? What if sending Watt here and Williams out is the jolt the defense needs to shake its chains and roar to life, transforming the Lions from hopefuls into a juggernaut that bulldozes through the NFC North? And yet, what if it's too much? Too soon? What if trading away our electric wideout, fracturing the chemistry that lit up Ford Field last year, leaves his offense gasping for breath? What if this gamble pulls Detroit's heart in two, leaving fans torn between faith and fear? It's a gut-wrenching, heart-pounding moment to be a Lions fan, watching strategy and soul collide amid whispers of what could be the defining move of the Brad Holmes era. A move that could either rewrite the narrative of a franchise starved for glory or deepen the wounds of years spent chasing that elusive breakthrough. And if this domino falls, you wouldn't believe who might be next on the chopping block or the pedestal. Because if the price for Watt is paid in Williams and draft capital, and Detroit pulls the trigger, this city isn't just gearing up for a comeback. We're coming for blood, for redemption, for the roar that has echoed from the cramped stands of the Silverdome to the packed seats of Ford Field. The fuse is lit. The tension is thick and electric. All that's left now is to watch And to hold your breath for the inevitable explosion. Snap the chains, Detroit, destiny doesn't. Wait for the timid. This is the rallying cry that's pounding through every fiber of this city's soul because you can feel it deep down, like the seismic tremors before a storm hits, a violent collision of hope and despair swirling in the air. And right now, the airs thick with the raw scent of possibility, Detroit's heart pounding louder than ever, pounding to a cadence that echoes back through decades of heartbreak and glory, daring us to believe this is the moment we turn. Everything upside down. It's a city scarred by 0 to 16, haunted by Dan Orlovsky's clumsy safety that must have felt like losing a limb, yet it also forged resilience, fire that's been buried beneath layers of snow and shattered dreams. The ghosts of Calvin Johnson's retirement still linger, a brilliant flash of what once was, and then Barry Sanders' undefinable. Divine abruptly walking away, leaving the city craving more, hungry for redemption that's been tantalizingly just out of reach. Jim Caldwell's firing, the near misses, the playoff collapses, those haunting moments where hope shattered like glass things Detroit refuses to forget, things that make every new dawn a test of faith. And now, here we are again, standing on the precipice of another revelation. The whispers around Allen Park aren't just rumors. They're a thunderous roar, a storm threatening to unleash a tidal wave. And the most audacious move in recent franchise history is on the table, an unthinkable gamble that could redefine everything. We're talking about trading away Jameson Williams, our explosive weapon who electrified Ford Field last season, with over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. A player with fire and potential that lit up the NFL spotlight, but also a lightning rod for financial shadow games looming over cap space like storm clouds ready to burst. The trade? To bring in T.J. Watt, an absolute beast, a game wrecker, a dervish of destruction whose relentless pursuit of QB nightmares could elevate our defense into the stratosphere. Because, let's face it, the last time Detroit had a truly dominant pass rush, it was the 1950s. And now history's whispering, telling us it's time to seize that kind of glory again, to forge a defense that crushes offenses beneath a relentless, thunderous barrage. Think about it, a Eden Hutchinson and Watt side by side, doubling that pressure, turning Ford Field into a battlefield every week. But at what cost? That question cuts deep, because to acquire Watt, the Lions would have to send Williams packing, uproot the offensive chemistry that sparked last season's resurgence, and hand over valuable draft capital that can't be replaced. Overnight, this isn't just about adding stars. It's about rewriting the very fabric of our identity. The front office is weighing the gamble, walking that razor's edge between risk and reward, trying to piece together a puzzle that could either elevate the Lions into NFC North kings or fracture what little offensive rhythm we've managed. To rebuild since years of rebuilding under Caldwell, Patricia, and the ghosts of seasons past. Are we ready to gamble everything on the roar of that thunder, knowing that losing Williams could leave our offense gasping for breath and force? Jared Goff to become more than a quarterback and icon, a leader, a man expected to carry dreams. On his shoulders that once belonged to legends like Stafford or Roar the Lion himself. And what about the NFC North's rivals? The Bears flexing their own muscles with under-the-radar draft picks, Minnesota's relentless grind, Green Bay's shifting tides waiting in the wings, eyes narrowing, ready to pounce if Detroit blinks. Lions fans, can you feel that? That electric current weaving through Ford Field? It's like every scar, every heartbreak, every victory is merging into this moment, this chaotic, electrifying crossroads. But what if this isn't just about winning? What if it's about finally claiming what's ours, truth, respect, that elusive pride that's been stolen and buried under years of disappointment? What if this move is the catalyst for a Lions renaissance? A full-throttle charge that rips through the league like a cyclone, embodying that unbreakable spirit we've carried since the days of the Silver Dome? Or, God help us, what if it's a reckless gamble that pushes us further into the abyss, fracturing our already fragile offense and leaving us watching helpless as our season spirals into chaos? The tension's thick, and the questions won't stop. They keep pounding harder than ever, each one more desperate, more urgent, pulling at the very fabric of Detroit's soul. Because this franchise isn't just a team. It's a promise, a roar that once echoed in the streets, in the bars, in every fiber of this city's being. And now that promise faces its ultimate test. Do we risk it all, or do we hold tight and hope luck finally turns our way? The stakes have never been higher, and as the smoke clears and the plans are laid bare in whispers and secret deals, a single thought echoes like a war drum pounding in our chests. What if this is the move that finally ignites the fire inside us all, setting a blaze that the league cannot contain, or suffocates the last threads of hope that keep us fighting?